If you have expectations of someone, be sure to warn the victim.
Welcome to this episode of Choose, where an actor
And a therapist
pull up a couch on the stage of life.
to help you use your power of choice to keep your expectations realistic.
I'm Cindy Barlow, the actor,
And I'm Wendy Rawlings, the therapist.
and we're here to remind you that you can't choose your challenges, but
You can choose your response.
in every episode of Choose, we always like to leave you with a tool to help you choose your response. And today we have a doozer, so stick around.
Expectations. Everyone has them. Sometimes we don't even know we have them until they're not met. I don't know how many clients I've had come in and say to me, I am so sad or I'm so angry because of what was done or what was not done. And I say, well, what did you want to have happen instead? And invariably they say, I don't know. I just did not like what was happening. Oftentimes we do not know what we want. We just know when something happens, we didn't want that. And this is one of the big red expectation flags. When we're not in touch with what we want and we can't communicate it, we kind of get what we get. And then we get upset.
Right. And one of the signs of evolution, as we've been talking about, all these weeks, is just self-awareness. And so for the sake of this discussion, that is knowing that what we can really expect from ourselves and others, and really how to ask for it. And, the key here is realistically, we're very unrealistic sometimes about what we want from other people or what we want from ourselves. And I have this really wonderful story to tell you that actually happened last week when Wendy and I were doing our podcast on comparing. And, she's my sister, so, I idolize her in a lot of different ways. She seems so good at doing things that to me are really difficult. And we have this joke because Wendy can juggle better than any of the rest of us. And if something needs to be done, it's like, actually, Wendy, you missed your call. You could be a party planner because someone could call you and say, we're having a party tonight. Could you plan it, get it together? And like Wendy would have it all together. Like it's like she's amazing. So when we're doing these scripts together, we take turns writing them. And so it's my turn to write. And what I notice is every time it's my turn to write, I'll send the script to her and then we'll meet and she'll be like, okay. So for me, comparing myself with her creates expectations for myself. But I had a super big expectation that she would be like, oh, Cindy is so great. I just really love it. And, that she would be more, enthusiastic about what I did. And so what I was noticing with last time, and we were talking about comparing, is I was really comparing myself to her. And I was started to create a resentment in myself because I did not get my expectation met. And so I actually did the whole exercise before we shot last time. So if you see that episode and you go back and see, I had gone through that whole process of how to let go of comparing, because you totally despair when you compare. So what ended up happening was I said to Wendy, because we trust each other and I'm a little more evolved than I used to be, I just said to Wendy, look, I need something from you, and this is what I need you to do. And I need you to say these words. And because I'm an actor and a playwright, I can write the script for you. And I said, I want you to say this, 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 and this. And Wendy is so good that she's really good at listening, really good at being curious. And so she was really cool about just making those changes. But it would never have happened by, number one, I hadn't have been aware, and number two, I hadn't have asked. And I have to show you, because this is an example, because Wendy talked about, we don't know where some of these come from, and they come from when we're, they come from when we're little. So like, I started off like this, all happy, and then I kind of went to this, and then I went to totally this. This is exactly how I felt. So do you want to say anything more about that story?
Well, it's a great story, and that especially when our expectations aren't met, it's never our adult expectations that aren't met. It's our child expectations. Well, we do have adult expectations that aren't met, but we don't act like that. The adult doesn't. It's the child that just feels crushed and hurt. And sadly, I caused that in you unintentionally. I was picking up some underlying stuff that I did not act on because my whole life at that moment was so juggling busy. And, but it all worked out, didn't it? And so that exercise that you did last week, works
It
because,
really works, you guys.
yeah,
We've got another one that's going to really work too
yeah,
today.
yes.
So, Wendy, would you like to show us what we can do when we start to go into this this place of resentment or this place of comparing?
Yes, we're on, we're live.
We're on, yeah.
So I am going to show you how a relationship develops and this is from Steve Covey's work. So when we first meet people, we are two independent parts, and sometimes we just stay in those parts. Sometimes we just decide to stay independent and just have this relationship thing that kind of goes back and forth, but there's no real intersection. There's no real connectedness. And that's what an independent relationship looks like. But then sometimes if we're not having a healthy relationship, we get one person pulls into the other person and become dependent on them. And that frequently happens. It's not a healthy relationship by any means, but that's what a dependent relationship can look like. And that person in the middle relies on the person on the outside to meet their needs, to take care of them, to read their mind and know what they want, because the person on the inside just wants to feel secure and loved and safe. The person on the outside sometimes wants to control the person on the inside, but they get kind of tired of this kind of relationship because it isn't healthy.
How does expectations how do people engage in the dependent relationship in terms of expectations?
So the person on the inside expects the other person to take care of them, to know what they want. There's not a lot of asking usually that goes on, but sometimes there is. A lot of times it's very passive aggressive asking. The person on the outside sees themselves as either more capable and competent, or they see themselves as just being a martyr who takes care of, or they see themselves as someone who needs control of that other person. So those are the expectations that play out in that. This last relationship is an interdependent relationship, which is more healthy. And you'll see that both circles have retained their identity, their individuality, and independence, but they share this relationship in the center here. And that's where the relationship lives. And that is what a healthy relationship looks like, where you both give and you both take, and the relationship happens, but you don't give up yourself to be in that relationship.
Thank you. Thank you, Wendy, for sharing that. Some people refer to expectations as premeditated resentments, which is a great way of looking at it. And, Wendy said earlier, if you have expectations of someone, be sure to warn the victim. And, as you were talking about, dependency and all of that, it's really interesting how we have an idea, like maybe from some fairy tale that we saw growing up, that we have these expectations of our partners or of other people. And when our expectations aren't met, just resentment follows, but we don't even know why we would resent them, just because we had this expectation, and that expectation might not have even been something that we had even conceived of or perceived of. We just felt that should have happened. And, this usually happens in relationships that really mean a lot to us, like my relationship with you. If it had been someone else, I may not have felt anything for it, but it's because we have such a close relationship that I could feel something come up for me. So yeah, but it's not reasonable to expect someone to be able to read our minds,
When I was first married, I expected my husband to read my mind. I thought and we get these unreasonable expectations from, like you said, fairy tales, or from, pictures, stories we've heard.
Watching our own parents.
Watching our parents, yeah. And so they're just in the air, and we pick them up. And I remember saying to him, or thinking to myself, if he loves me enough, he'll be able to read my mind. I won't need to ask for anything, because in the fairy tale, they lived happily ever after. And so when I learned, and he was very kind and explained to me that he couldn't read my mind, I probably wouldn't want him to read my mind most of the time.
Yeah,
And so
don't read
so
it.
I thought, he does have a point. And so I had to do a little bit of personal growth. And so when we step back and get curious, we shift our perspective from our own unreasonable feelings of hurt or anger or even just bewilderment and wonder what's happening to the other person. And that opens up a whole wide range of questions. First one for me was, did I fail to communicate my expectations clearly? To my husband, certainly I did, because I expected him to read my mind and know what they were.
Yeah, and it is a lot easier when you're really clear with your what your expectations are. Like it was really good last week with Wendy because I was super clear with her and we got it fixed right away. Another thing is that, are we seeing the situation the same way? And very often we're not. Like for instance, everybody uses their phone in a different way. And for me, I just like to look at my phone 3 or 4 times a day. I don't like to be texting all day long. But I have friends who are like always texting or always on it. And so they might feel offended if I don't get back to them like in 2 seconds, or I don't like answer them as quickly. And sometimes I get resentful of their expectations of me. And also, I think they sometimes get resentful of my expectations of them. So I need to be clear with them to let them know how often I use my device. And, so they don't freak out and I don't freak out.
Excellent. Exactly. Another thing to think about, question to ask is that person that I'm having this expectation with going through something that I might not know about? Were they up at night? Did they have insomnia? Were they not feeling well? They just don't tell me. Did they lose a loved one? Is someone sick? What are they worried about? Or sometimes it's just generational differences. Every generation does it a little bit different.
Yeah, that is so true. And I think that especially I see that because we have so many ways to have expectations. Like I said earlier, just the way we use our devices. And another really good way I think to look at expectations is through the Enneagram types that Wendy and I talked about. So if we took this situation, Wendy, of last week and this whole idea of putting together a script, how would a 1 Enneagram type responded?
Well, a one would be want to make sure that the script was right, that it was perfect, it was as good as it could be, and so if they were worried about that, they could have gotten defensive and said, "Well, it's not right. It doesn't look right. We got to do it right," and not been cooperative and maybe even shut down the process.
And a 2 would be more flexible, like a 2 giver would be more flexible. In what way do you think?
Well, they would say, "You write the script. I'll just go along with it. It'll be fine. I just want you to be happy.
I'll type it up for you. I'll put
Just,
a ribbon on it.
just want to make you happy. Just want you to be happy."
To make you happy. And so a 3, who is the producer and the performer, would be like, well, you're not giving me lines that make me look good. I need to have, I need to have this look. I need to sound good. I don't sound good with this sentence. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And a 4 would want it to reflect the fact that they were loved, that they were accomplished, that they looked good as well.
Well, I also think a 4 might also, it had to have something deep to it. It can't be
Oh
too
yes.
shallow. Yes, it's got to be deep, dramatic. Not
Yeah.
a 4. Um, and
Yeah.
so a 5. So we'll just tell you, I'm a 5-ish 4 or a 4-ish 5, and Wendy's a 6 with a 5 wing. Is that right?
That is right.
So you
Yes.
guys know but we both meet at our 5, which is really good because we do well in our 5. And a 5 would be more of well, okay, she's going to do that, but I know the really right way this should be, but I want to tell her because I'll just let her like screw it up.
Yeah. Like, well, on that limb, or I'll do some more research and I'll
No,
prove.
I'll just go do more research. And yeah.
Oh,
I
but
mean,
it's
but
okay.
I would hold something from
Yes.
that.
But part of the wonderful thing about coming together in the 5 wings, which is what we do, is we really do pull back from it emotionally and just evaluate it, and so that makes it work really well.
Actually, that's really true, and that's where a 5 can teach us all because 5 is about observing. They're the observer, so it's like pulling back and going, okay, what's going on, and go home and research it and
Well,
then
that's
come
any
back and figure
investigator,
out.
yeah. And
Yeah,
if you've got your research to back you up, you're golden.
right. Yeah, that's right.
So the six is the loyalist. The six would go, oh, inside, I'm feeling really guilty, and I'm really afraid that they might not like me, but I really am afraid the script is just not going to work either. So where do I go with my fear? Do I say something? Do I not say something? Am I true to myself? Am I true to the other person? How do I work this out? And on any given day, tossing a coin, a six is going to come down on one side of that or the other.
The one thing that's great about a six, and it's one of the things that I really love about Wendy's six, is that, and maybe it's the reason I compare myself to her, because she's already like 5 moves ahead. That's what sixes do. They're like,
They're
oh, okay, I
planners.
can see how, like if there's a fire somewhere, just follow the six, because they'll know where all the exits are. And that's what Wendy is so good at, and that's one of the ways that she sort of grounds me and keeps me realistic. So a six is very needed in this. So like if I were a seven, this is how I would have reacted with a seven. It's like, no, my ideas are great. Come on, get on board with it. Like I am so like this is the cool thing, you want to have street cred, like do it this way, okay? And it's like because I am the fun person.
And eights, they have a vision and they want to be in control of the vision and want to be in charge. They're natural leaders, and so they would say, "No, we're going to do it this way. We're doing it this way. Go big, go home."
And how dare you try and change something that I did?
Because it was so amazing.
It was
Exactly.
amazing.
Yeah, I only do amazing work. What's wrong with you? Yeah, yeah.
And then the nine is the peacemaker, and the nine would probably just quietly just because sometimes a nine will sort of meld with the person, so it's like, well, I'll do whatever you want, or it's different than a two though.
The two wants to do it out of helping. A nine just doesn't want to make waves.
Don't want to make waves. Yeah, so we'll
Right.
just sort of step back and you know deal with their emotions on their own, but they won't want to engage in it.
Correct.
So yeah, yeah.
So what did you do, Cindy, to get out of the conundrum of being a four with a five wing and trying to resolve this?
Well, I start with just like searching for alternate reasons why my expectations weren't met. And when I do this, this empowers me because, I don't make you take responsibility for my feelings or expectations. And then it allowed me to look with compassion rather than entitlement. I mean, like this is total entitlement, right? Like it's got to be my way. And those alternate reasons are and were just as likely to be closer to the truth than the story that I cooked up about you and what I thought that you needed to do for me. And I always really love what my friend Byron Katie says. She's like, no one can hurt me. That's my job. And when I step back and I just see, like, I knew you were busy. I knew you had a lot going, but I just wanted you to take care of my feelings. And that was all. I had that expectation.
That's what a good big sister would do, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, truth is, most people are doing the best they can at any given moment. I did not wake up that morning and say, I wonder how I can mess Cindy up today. I can't wait to get this going. I can't wait to get started. So as we meet people where they are and not where we want them or expect them to be, we'll see them for who they are. And we'll be able to have a more genuine, real relationship with them. So there's sort of three things to keep in mind with the best relationships. They have clear, reasonable, and shared expectations.
Yes, and we're going to show you a tool on doing this.
Okay, so this is a really simple tool. All you have to do is draw two intersecting circles, just like the interdependent tool that we showed you. I've got my circle that says Wendy, I've got Cindy's circle that says Cindy, and this is what we're going to do. In my circle, I'm going to have Cindy list things, qualities that she sees in me that she values, that she enjoys. And if you're doing this by yourself, for a relationship with another person, you can do both sides of the circle. If you want to do it together with that other person, do it this way. So Cindy, take it away.
Okay, so so Wendy has great ideas. She's like amazing with ideas. Her commitment to our relationship and to what she does is amazing. It really it blows me away how committed she is to people. Wendy's so funny. We have such a good time. I think we laugh as much as we do anything else. Her humor gets us by.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, she's so brilliant in her clinical knowledge. It always blows me away. Anytime I have a really big problem, I will go to Wendy, and she really helps me unpack it. So I really trust that. She's very loving. She's so loving to me, to the whole family. She accepts my craziness and accepts who I am, which is a little bit crazy. And she's really good at technical stuff. She can put things together super quickly. Like I said, she could plan, by tonight, if you had a party, she would have like amazing things there that she would just plan. So she's very good in so many ways.
All right, so then I get
and then the last one I want to say is Wendy can research the heck out of anything, and it's really one place that I really connect with her, because I love to research things too. And so when we get together and we talk about our research, it really engages me deeply.
It's really stimulating, isn't it?
It does stimulate me. Yeah.
So for me, with Cindy, she brings, and I'm not, there we go. She also brings ideas to the table. You can tell as an actress, she's very creative. A lot of humor. I don't know how many takes we do just to start, because we get giggling so hard we can hardly stand it. We've got to do a blooper reel roll just for our. She also has a huge sense of commitment. If I don't feel like doing something, she brings the commitment to it, and it just makes it easier to buckle down and get it done. She's got the theatrical orientation and analogies, which are really rich to what we're up to here. She has a great, deep sense of love, and she expresses her love from her heart. I express my love more from my head and my actions, but you just feel well loved when Cindy's done with you. She's very loyal. Otherwise, she would have given up on this a long time ago, because she was way more engaged in the beginning than was I. Very, very patient with the process and with the people that she works with. She takes risks. If you've seen her YouTube videos, she really has taken a lot of risks putting some things out there that are very helpful, but it was taking a risk to do it. We each have our own technical expertises, and she really brings a lot to that as well. And research. I am grounding, and Cindy is expansive. Our sister Peggy talked about how watching our videos cracks her up, because she says it's kind of like you're the one that's grounded and Cindy's the one that's fun. It's like
I'm up there, you're the kite, I'm the kite, and you're holding me.
That's right. And in my mind, that's the definition of a good relationship. You want somebody that's the kite, that's flying around, having a great time, because the one on the ground is also having a great time watching the kite fly around.
Controlling the kite, with the wind.
Yeah, and ironically, I fly kites and I control kites. I have a 4-string kite and I have a 2-string kite, so I know about flying kites and being grounded and watching and really enjoying watching the kite have fun. So then, once you've got the pieces of the relationship,
can I interject one thing?
Oh yeah.
So one great thing doing this with Wendy, we really got to be specific and clear with what we're bringing to the relationship, and part of expectations is not having clarity. So this was so awesome to do with her, because I really got to see the things she appreciated about me and the things that I appreciate about her. And already, whatever else is going on, it grounds us into this state of commitment to our love and devotion for each other, and our commitment to what we're doing together. So I just wanted to add that part to it.
Great point. So once you've got this, either with the person you're in relationship with or by yourself, taking both sides of the circle, then you want to look at the intersection. So Cindy and I did that. And together, because when we come together, we're more creative together than we are.
More creative. Yeah. It's like we're more than the sum of our parts. That's one of the things that Stephen Covey talks about.
Synergy.
Yeah.
And we laugh a lot more than I laugh by myself. I laugh a lot more with Cindy. There's a bigger dedication. It's dedicated to a bigger thing than just each of ourselves individually.
In our own lives. Yeah.
Exactly. And then we share a vision. We create it together, and then we share it together. And we support each other as we're doing it. We feel the support of the other. We have collective wisdom that we glean from our research and from our life experiences and the experiences of others that they share with us. There's that unconditional acceptance also that we feel when we get to work together, and that provides such a grounding basis for everything that we do, because we know that no matter what happens, we can work it out, because we have put our expectations out there together and we've got that communication.
Thank you, Wendy. One of the things in just looking at that, it's like, it's so fun to see my relationship just up on a screen, my relationship with you up on a screen, and those things on the inner that we bring together. It's so nice to have them clear and be able to own them together, as this is who we are together.
This is so proud.
Like our mission statement or our vision, that we have, or whatever. Yeah.
This would work in any relationship, in a marriage. It would work as sisters on a project. It'd work as sisters not on a project. We could put our family relationship in the middle there, and it works with any relationship that you have.
If two business partners come together, something like this is an excellent tool.
Yep, you just put those expectations right out there.
Exactly. Yeah.
So if you can't do it with the other person, do it with yourself, with the other person's brain in your brain. So if you find yourself feeling resentful, ask yourself what expectations you had that weren't met. Better still, do this exercise, and better still, do this exercise within the relationship with the other person, and you'll head off a lot of unmet expectations, because you'll know what they are. Terrell Owens, the great TO from the San Francisco 49ers, said, if you align expectations with reality, you'll never be disappointed. And he's right.
And there's a different way of saying that is, what screws us up the most in life is the picture in our head of how it's supposed to be. And I think, Wendy, will we be putting up on our websites, we'll be putting up some of this information so that people could come to our websites?
Yeah, and come to your website.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll put this one up, although 2 circles are pretty easy to draw.
They are, but sometimes it's nice to have like a something up there that you can just download.
Roadmap.
We'll put something together for that. And if you're interested in my book, Playing You, A Star Is Born, it's about acting secrets to help you create the life you really want. You can find me at my academy at cindyloubarlow.com.
And you're welcome to visit my website, wendyrawlings.com, and just click around it for all kinds of goodies about how to live life and what to avoid and what not to avoid.
And next time, we are going to continue this discussion on comparison, and we're going to use our when we compare. Not comparison, I'm sorry, expectation, when we have expectations for ourselves. So until next time, remember, you can't choose your challenges,
but you can choose your response.
And don't leave this page without subscribing. And please leave suggestions and comments in our section if you have topics you'd like us to talk about. We have an expert with us, you guys, so use her.
Oh, we have 2 experts. Yeah.
I'm talking about my sister, Wendy. She is really...
So I'm talking about my sister, Cindy. Yeah. So choose to set realistic expectations and continue to hang out with us. We're looking forward to that conversation next week.
And yes, we have high expectations of you. We want to see you next time.
Yes. Bye.
Take care. Thank you so much for joining us today.